Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the pet rabbit. Rabbits make a great addition to any home. They have an age expectancy of approximately 8 to 12 years. There are more than 60 breeds of rabbits, so finding which breed is best for you. Popular, there's the Rex, the Dutch, Netherland Dwarf, Holland Law. There's many different options and colors and sizes. But we'll go ahead and talk about their habitat. The general rule for enclosure is should be 4 times the size of the rabbit's body. It should have a wire top for air circulation and a solid bottom. Some cages come with a wire bottom. That can be quite wearing on their bottom pads of their feet to become quite sore and irritated. So we recommend a solid bottom. Substrate options, there is popular choices being recycled paper, fleece, you could use hay or straw. If you want to use shavings, stay away from pine or cedar because they can harm the respiratory tract. So aspen would be your option if you were looking for shavings. Having a spot for their litter, fresh water, spot for their food, and an area to hide. In the wild, they burrow in their dens, so they need somewhere safe to go. A hay rack or somewhere to put their hay is important as well because it can get all over the place. And hay makes up 90% of their diet. Hay is very important. They are herbivores and they need to keep their digestive system flowing. So they need to have unlimited access to hay. Another part about hay that's why it's important as well is that rabbits' teeth continuously grow. So the mechanical action of chewing on hay all day helps to naturally wear down the molars and the incisors. Sometimes they still become overgrown and will need to be trimmed at the veterinarians. So 90% of their diet is hay. The other 10% can be made up with pellets, fruits or vegetables that are safe for rabbits. They're pretty low maintenance, so that's probably what you would have to do at home is just the nail trims and just making sure your rabbit's healthy. They do have fragile spines, so always taking care when you're picking up a rabbit and holding a rabbit that you're holding them so they feel nice and secure and they're not going to jump. They have very powerful back legs, and if they kick those back legs out really hard, they can actually injure their spine. So just making sure that they're held nice and tight, and when you're putting them down, just going very slowly and gently and putting them down so that they're not spooking and kicking back. They're sweet, they're entertaining, they're affectionate, they have all sorts of neat little body language. They do little thumps when they're scared or warning something is coming. Something called binky, which is if they're super excited, they just start leaping up straight in the air and kicking their legs out and twisting their body. And so they have a lot of neat little body languages and communication techniques. They do require out-of-cage exercise, a cage they can't stay in there all the time because that's not stimulating for them and they're not getting their exercise. So making sure that your house is bunny-proofed. They like to chew, so making sure your cords are away. You might need to block off an area to keep them away from a certain thing. They like to chew on baseboards, so always supervised. Ways to enrich your bunny's life, make things more interesting. You can add in some wood chew toys, take them outside on a harness for some fresh air in the grass, having daily outdoor exercise, just giving them lots of love and attention. But overall, they make great family pets. If you're interested in learning more about our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, visit our website, digitalartschool.com. Thank you. Hi, thanks for joining me. It's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the chinchilla. Chinchillas are interesting pets. They are shy, intelligent, naturally curious, and they do best in a quieter environment. They don't like to be isolated, but they don't like to be right in the heart of things. They are nocturnal, so they do sleep during the day and they are most active at nighttime. They are best in pairs as they can get lonely. They prefer not to be cuddled, but they are quite affectionate. So they like to be around people and have the comfort of people, but they don't really like to be cuddled or held. Their habitat should be tall, multi-leveled with ramps and platforms, and they like clean environments, so that's very important. They can become stressed if their habitat becomes dirty, so always making sure that it is clean will make sure that they remain stress-free. They eat a diet consisting of 80 to 90% of hay, and the rest will be supplemented with pellets and other appropriate foods for chinchillas. The hay keeps their digestive system flowing as well as helps to naturally wear down their teeth. They should have access to fresh water. One defensive mechanism that they have is called fur slip. So if you were to grab the chinchilla and they were startled, they will drop their fur. So you'll have a clump of fur in your hand and they'll have a bald spot. That's their defense mechanism. They require dust baths, daily dust baths. So you get like a big container and you have the dust, and then the chinchilla will roll all around. That dust is flying everywhere. They love it. That's natural behavior for them. It maintains their skin and their coat by removing oils and keeping their fur nice and clean. They love to chew, so chewing on untreated wood, sticks, appropriate toys for chinchillas, wood rope toys, those are all good things for them to be chewing on. They like to play with balls. They should have a lot of out-of-cage activity, like I mentioned, not handled by people, but just access to exercise and exploring out of the cage. They're neat pets to have in your home. If you are thinking of a chinchilla, just make sure you're researching because they are a little bit of a unique animal. But thanks for joining me today. And if you're looking for more information on our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, visit our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi there, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the pet bird. Birds are a unique ownership experience. They are great family members. They become quite bonded to those in their house. They can range in age expectation from 5 to 60 years. So always researching what type of bird you'd like to get and just making sure that that's something you're aware of. Some popular choices: budgies, canaries, cockatiels, parrots, macaws. The list goes on, there's many. So just doing your research, lovebirds. They have high social needs, so their enclosure should be in a somewhat high traffic area where they are around their people. They do enjoy being able to see out the window, but don't put them right in front of a window. Direct sunlight can be too hot for them, and they can also feel threatened from the wildlife outside. The general rule for enclosure size is that the enclosure should be 2 times the size of their wingspan minimum, so length and height. It should have a place for food, water, and perches are very important. Having perches of varying diameter is important. When you have those wooden dowel perches, their feet are in the same position all day. So having varying diameter, so wood that's thicker and thinner in places, encourages them to walk around more and just has their feet in different positions so they're not getting abnormal wearing patterns by having their foot in the same position all day. Birds should have a high quality pelleted diet, as a majority of their diet, with supplementing 10% with seeds, treats, and appropriate foods for birds. Birds love seeds. They would love to eat seeds all day long. They're just not very good for them to have as their main source of diet. So when taking into account location of the cage, so having them up off the floor at eye level with their humans, away from drafts or heating, so the vents on the floor, windows, doors. They would like to have at least one side against the wall for they feel secure that way. Another way to make them feel secure is covering their cage at nighttime. Some appreciate the space, the quiet space in the shelter. With the cage location as well, kitchens are not a good idea. Teflon pans can be quite toxic to birds, as well as perfumes, aerosols, scented candles. Birds have a very sensitive respiratory system, so those things can all be dangerous for them. General maintenance: they should have their annual exam at a veterinarian that specializes in avians, having their nails and beaks trimmed when necessary. If their beak overgrows, it can crack and cause issues. They love baths. Baths are very important to keep their feathers clean. Birds love to preen and clean their feathers a majority of the day. Having a bath, if that's something they enjoy, can be daily or 2 times a week, but some love it so much that every day they have a bath. So bathing could be just misting them with a water bottle if they don't like having a bath. Some prefer to have a shower, and others just prefer a bowl of nice warm water. And just making sure if you are bathing them that they are having a bath in the morning so that they are nice and dry by evening. Enrichment is very important for birds, especially birds that spend a lot of time in their cage. So having various toys that clip on and dangle down from the cage, changing up those toys so that they have different toys and they're not bored, taking them out of the cage, just giving them enrichment that way, giving them special treats and just allowing them to be out of their cage and bonding with their owners. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I provided some insight on the bird as a pet. If you are interested in learning more about our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, check out our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the pet rats. Rats are super social, intelligent creatures. They have a life expectancy of 2 to 3 years. They are very social, so they should be kept in a pair at least or a small grouping. They appreciate a tall multi-level cage where they have room to roam and climb and ramps and platforms. They enjoy nest building, so having materials, so fabric or paper towel or paper that they can shred up and make a nest is ideal for them. Substrate options, paper, fleece. Shavings are recommended to be avoided just because of a very sensitive respiratory tract, and so you can get some dust with the shavings. So it's not really recommended to use shavings with rats. They are omnivores, so they have a diet that requires plant and animal base. They should have a high formulated diet for rats and then supplementing with appropriate fruits and vegetables. They are quite easy to please. They enjoy out of cage experiences as much as possible. They love to climb and explore. They can become quite bonded to their humans as well as other pets. I've heard of rats bonding quite uniquely with dogs and cats. They make great little pets. They have huge personalities and they are a great beginner pet. Making sure you're doing your research, enriching their environment as much as possible, taking them out, giving them lots of things to chew on, and just keeping them busy because they are active little guys. Thanks for joining me today. If you are looking for more information on our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, check out our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the pet ferret. Ferrets are active, inquisitive, playful pets. They live approximately 5 to 10 years. They do better in pairs than they do on their own. They're not really solitary animals. They really enjoy the company of another. They sleep approximately 17 to 20 hours a day. But when they're awake, they make up for it because they are quite the life of the party. For their habitat, they prefer a multi-leveled wire cage with platforms and just areas for them to climb. They love to burrow, so having a towel or blanket in there or they like little hanging hammocks. They need a space for their litter box, their food, and their fresh water. They are obligate carnivores, so they require a diet in meat protein. Their bodies are not really made to digest vegetable plant materials, so a special pelleted diet formulated for ferrets is important to make sure that they get their protein, and recommended that they get their annual rabies and distemper vaccine. Also highly recommended that they are spayed or neutered by 6 months of age. And they have a high metabolic rate, so having access to food is very important for them. They do sleep 18 to 20 hours a day, but they do also eat about 8 times a day. So they will wake up from their nap, have a snack, go back, nap, snack, nap, nice life. They digest their food very, very fast. So they do need to have smaller, more frequent meals. They need to have access all times to food. They're very entertaining, they're easy to please, they just love exploring and new things, ways to enrich their environment. Having a kiddie pool with, those ball pit balls. They run and dive in there. People have used packing peanuts in a cardboard box and they just roll around and peanuts are flying, and they love big tubes to go and explore in the tubes. They're just, they're a great, happy, spunky little family member. And just make sure you do your research and making sure that you are covering all your bases in terms of their care. Thanks for joining me today. If you are interested in learning more about our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, visit our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi there, thanks for joining me. It's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking today about the betta fish. Betta fish make a great little pet for any household. As you can see, I have Mr. Wiggles here, and he's in a 3.5 gallon. They actually quite enjoy a little bit of space, so a 2.5 gallon is usually the minimum, but as large as you can accommodate them. They are solitary, so they need to be in there by themselves. They require, when you get to this size, they require a heater. So I've got a heater on the side here to maintain the water temperature. In the wild, they live in shallow puddles. So the water is quite warm because the water is so shallow and the sun warms it. So when you get to a larger enclosure like this one, you need to heat the water so it maintains I think about 78 degrees. And then there's a filter here as well, and that just helps to keep it clean and filter out the waste. As well, water changes should be done every other week, about 10 to 20% of the water volume. And when you're doing the water changes, using a dechlorinator to take the chlorine out of the water, or having it sit for a few days out on the countertop is another option as well. They're pretty low maintenance, heats twice a day. Usually just give them as much as they can consume in 5 minutes. Any more than that is just going to be waste and go to the bottom of the tank and just collect down there. Plants in here as well, so making sure that they have places to hide if they're not feeling safe. So he's being camera shy, which he never is. He's always floating around, but he is being camera shy and he's just down in the front here hiding, but giving them a place to hide is important. Maybe you want a bit more challenging environment and you want to try some tropical fish. You could go and you can get like a 20 gallon, 40 gallon and get many fish. Just making sure that you are making sure the fish are compatible. You don't want to put some aggressive fish with some more timid fish. They will just get picked on. But yeah, the fish are pretty easy to maintain. It's a pretty rewarding when you have a nice tank that's thriving. And there's Mr. Wiggles there coming out. So yeah, adding ways to enrich their environment. You can change up the decor. You can add some new plants, add some new fish into the mix. You can change their feeding schedule and feed them on times that they normally wouldn't. Then I think they're all excited thinking they're getting an extra meal. You can change the location of their feeding. Many ways to enrich the environment for your fish. But yeah, they make great pets. Thanks for joining me. If you are interested in more information on our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, check out our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi there, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking today about the pet guinea pig. Guinea pigs are sweet, gentle animals, a great first pet for a family. They have a life expectancy of 4 to 7 years. They do well in pairs. They aren't really solitary animals. In the wild, they live in groupings of 20 or more, so they are very social and should be at least pairs. Even a trio is great. Basic care habitat, the habitat rule is basically 7.5 square feet for the first pig, 10 square feet for 2 pig, and it goes up from there. The cage should be a wire top with a solid bottom. The wire bottom cages can wear down on their pads of their feet and they can become quite sore and irritated. So a solid bottom cage is best. Substrate options, there's paper, there's hay, straw, fleece, whatever works for you. They are easily litter trained, so that cuts down on the mess in the actual bottom of the cage. So having a litter area and then a separate area for food and water and an area for them to hide, that's important. They need to feel safe, have somewhere to go if they're scared or just need some quiet time. They are herbivores, so their diet consists of 90% of hay, and then the other 10% can be made up from a formulated pelleted diet and appropriate fruits or vegetables. Something unique to the guinea pigs is that their body is unable to create vitamin C, so they require supplementation. That's very important as they get their required amounts of vitamin C. They're pretty easy to care for. Nail trims would probably be the main thing that you'd be responsible for, just making sure they're getting lots of exercise out of their cage. Some people like to have a little fenced in guinea pig play area, or you can have a blocked off area of your home that's suitable. They even have little harnesses. You can take them outside for supervised visits outside in the grass and the sunshine. So lots of ways to enrich our guinea pigs' lives, make sure they're getting exercise, and they can become quite social. So at the beginning, they can be a little bit timid, but with patience and gentle handling, they can become very tame, and they can sit on your lap, enjoy cuddles, and yeah, they are great little guys. Ways to enrich their environment would be just changing up their environment. So having them out of the cage for playtime. They love to chew, so wooden chew toys, treats, food puzzles, so that's just making it a little bit more challenging for them. So hiding their food in little structures, or even hiding it around their enclosure where they have to go foraging and finding it, and makes it a little more fun than just having it sitting in their bowl waiting for them. But yeah, they're great starter animals, very sweet. Their most endearing trait is their squeaks. If you've ever heard a guinea pig squeak before, it's the cutest thing ever. So you can tell if you're doing something right and they're super excited. They will let off these squeaks all in unison. So usually it's when you're rustling a plastic bag and they think they're getting some lettuce or something, but they can be very sweet. So a great starter pet. I hope I gave you some helpful information today. If you're interested in looking at our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, check out our website at digitalartschool.com. Hi there, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking today about the pet hamster. Hamsters have a life expectancy of 2 to 3 years. Common hamsters would be the Syrian, which is a little bit larger and slower moving, and the dwarfs, which are a little bit smaller and they are quite speedy. They are solitary animals. They should be kept alone. They are nocturnal, so they are most active at nighttime. For their habitat, they require, so it should be a large cage if possible. They are quite active. It should contain a wheel. Wheel size is important. They can injure their back if the wheel is too small. So making sure that the wheel is large enough for your hamster so that when they're running, that their back is straight and not curved up, and because that can cause injury to their back. Substrate options, I find paper bedding is great. They like to build their own little nests and dens to burrow in. So the paper bedding is great for being able to create their own little environment. Also having a hide structure. So they need some sort of the plastic igloos they have, or little wooden structures, something that they can hide in and feel safe. But I find oftentimes they like to create their own. They are foragers, so they like to, in the wild, they would go out at night when it was safe and they would find their food, stuff it in their cheeks, they'd come back, empty it out at their den, they'd go back again. And so they would travel up to 6 miles per night. So that's why they have the high exercise requirement. So the wheel will do that job. But you'll find at night when they're active, they're looking around their cage. So one way to enrich their environment is to hide the food around their cage in various spots. So instead of having them just come out and eat food out of their bowl, that's not very stimulating for them. So having treats hidden around is a neat way to keep them active and exciting for them. One common question is, why do hamsters bite? Hamsters bite when they are startled, and hamsters bite because they have poor eyesight. So not all hamsters bite. We have a pet hamster in our family and he's never bitten anyone, but also going very slow with the training. When you first bring them home, making sure you're leaving them alone for the first week just to get settled, and then slowly putting your hand in the cage with a treat and working your way up to handling them. If you have food on your fingers, then they will mistake that with a poor eyesight and a high sense of smell. So they might have a little nip thinking you're food. Other reason is sometimes when people want to play with them, they will just reach in the cage and grab the hamster and startle them, and that's when they can bite. So just being aware. But they're great options for young families, and as long as you're gentle and slow with the training, they can become neat little furry members of the family. Thanks for joining me today. If you're looking for more information on our program, check out our website, digitalartschool.com. Hi there, it's Kate from the Center for Arts and Technology talking to you today about the pet reptile. Reptiles are interesting animals to keep. They can be quite entertaining to watch. Some popular reptile breeds, the chameleon, the bearded dragon, the water dragon, geckos, lots of different varieties, ball pythons, whatever you are looking for. Just make sure you're researching and finding what type works best. Chameleons are a popular option. People need to realize they don't like to be handled very much. Chameleons are more of a reptile that you watch. They're very neat. They climb in the trees and on branches all day, and bearded dragons are a great option. They're very social. When you're looking for your enclosure, you need to figure out what type of reptile you're going to have. So if you're having a desert dwelling lizard, you would have an enclosure that's longer than it is tall. And if you're having an arboreal lizard or a reptile that is from the rainforest, such as a chameleon, you will have an enclosure that is taller than it is wide, because they will be climbing all around. And so they like to climb up and they like to come down, and then having the appropriate substrate. So moss is good for the chameleons because it holds moisture and they have a high humidity need, whereas the desert moss is not really needed there. They don't need the high humidity, so something like sand or a reptile pad would be great. Lighting is very important with reptiles. So having a UVA, UVB lighting is important for vitamin D, which helps them absorb calcium. And also a basking spotlight. And then at nighttime, a ceramic light or under pad heating as well. So during the day, you'll have your UVA, UVB lighting, and you'll have your basking spot. So when you set up your enclosure, you should have a cool zone where the reptile can get away if they're too hot. Have a just nice warm zone, middle zone, and then having your basking spotlight at one end of the enclosure. So and having maybe a rock or a branch that goes up towards the basking light so that the reptile can go all the way up to the top if they need more heat, or they can go midway, whatever they need to do. Rocks are great because they hold the temperature, so the rock will be nice and warm. At nighttime, when you turn off your spotlight, your basking light, and your UVA, UVB, they still require heating at night. So having a ceramic bulb, it emits heat but not light, or there is under pad heating that you can put underneath the enclosure, like a little heating pad. The type of reptile you get will depend on whether they're a herbivore, insectivore, omnivore. Either way, we like to enhance their diet and make it as nutritionally valuable as possible. So gut loading crickets is one great option. So feeding the crickets a high quality meal, and then when the reptile eats the cricket, it's getting the meal that the cricket ate. Also, dusting is very important. Reptiles have a high calcium need, so we try and get calcium in them as much as possible. So dusting crickets, mealworms, waxworms, whatever they're eating, just get a plastic bag, put some powdered calcium in there, shake them up, and then before you feed them, they're coated in that calcium, so they're getting that calcium in them. Low calcium can lead to metabolic bone disease. Their enclosure should be visually appealing to not only you, but it should act and mimic their regular environment. Reptiles can become stressed if their environment is not suitable for what they need, and you can tell that by nose rubbing. So it looks like they're trying to escape. They'll go to the cage and just rub back and forth, and they can actually cause some damage to their nose and get mouth rot. And so if their habitat is stimulating for them, then that shouldn't happen. You can increase and enrich their environment by changing up substrate. You could change up the rocks and the plants and just making it different for them, offering them treats, so like superworms or something that they're not part of their diet usually. But reptiles are really neat pets, and do your research and you'll have a great family member. Thanks for joining me. If you're looking for more information on our Veterinary Hospital Assistant program, visit our website at digitalartschool.com.